with the experience that I have, managing a bank that is considered big in terms of shareholders' funds amongst the biggest in West Africa and in Africa today, positions me adequately to be able to run the Central Bank of Nigeria. I believe that I can. I believe that with the professional experience that I've gathered, I believe with the level of governance that I have adopted in running in my 27 years in the banking industry, that I would be able to handle the task ahead. And I can tell you, like I said earlier, it is not just about macroeconomic stability. There are very many other things that we can do to improve the lives of our people. We're talking about unemployment. We're talking about improving productivity and the rest of them. Yes, they are part of economy, they're also banking, but you need somebody that has experience, both as a banker, an economist, and wealth of experience to be able to handle this task. It is not just about being a macroeconomist. Now, on AMCON, let me say, distinguished senators, that AMCON is a child of circumstance. AMCON came about as a result of the fact that, again, following the financial crisis we had in 2008, 2009, the banks had some toxic assets in their books. Toxic assets, and in the process, we also found during the financial crisis that even customers themselves lost some of their deposits, their monies in those who invested in the capital market. But AMCON came to, I would say, to help the bank detoxify their assets. Because if those assets were not detoxified, perhaps we'll be talking about a scenario where some of the banks will be liquidated today and customers will lose their money. So the question, are customers gaining from AMCON? My answer is yes, that the customers have gained because no customer has lost its money. Have the banks benefited? Has the banking industry, has the financial system, has Nigerians gained from the establishment of AMCON? My answer is yes. About the devaluation. Yes, it is true that we've seen the reserves dropping, and it is as a result of what I regard, or what I call, speculative attack on the Naira. The speculative attack is coming as a result of the fact that people think that there will be devaluation as a result of what is happening in the world today, for instance, the tapering. But I think, for me, there is no need for anybody to worry about devaluation, because devaluation is a very devastating action to be taken in the country, particularly because we are an import-dependent country. Devaluation will hurt the economy. But I'm saying that we have an economy that is still very strong, with about $39 billion in foreign reserves that can sustain almost about 9 months imports. I consider that a strong economy. For as long as you have crude prices standing at over $100 per barrel, it is a strong economy, and I have not seen anything to worry, and there is no need for anybody to worry about the devaluation, because devaluation, in my view, will not happen, because if we allow devaluation to happen in Nigeria, it will hurt the economy. What I'm saying here, because we are an import-dependent economy, and if you allow devaluation to happen, people are going to lose their jobs. Prices are going to go up. Productive capacity will come down, and eventually what you will find is that inflation would happen. So I would seize this opportunity to say that the policy that is being adopted now, which is to say hold on to exchange rate and ensure that we do not find devaluation affecting us, I think that is a policy that we should continue to go for. On the exchange rate, what I said is that we would continue to ensure that we have a strong exchange rate. And what the central bank is doing right now is to use various instruments of monetary policy to ensure that we control the exchange rate. Actually, distinguished senators, the exchange rate that the central bank has is 155, 3% plus or minus. So at the official market, I would say that the exchange rate has still been maintained within this band. Yes, we have the unofficial market, and from time to time, what you find is that central bank comes from time to time to intervene in that market to keep the gap, to shorten the gap. So I'm saying the exchange rate is still very strong, Mr. President, and all we can do, because, again, this is an import-dependent economy, devaluation is not an option, but the Central Bank of Nigeria, under my leadership, will continue to do whatever it can to ensure that we continue to maintain a strong exchange rate. Now, on the issue of the wide gap between deposit rates and lending rates, distinguished senators, the truth is that The marginal cost of fund in the banking industry today, if you take, for instance, some of us take about 500 million, 100 million to a bank today for deposit. You probably will be asking for almost close to about 10% today. Now, by the time you work in other cost elements into it, you work in the NDIC premium, you work in AMCOM premium, you work in other premiums into your calculation, you find the rates are high. I appreciate and I understand that the rates are high for those who are borrowing money. We will try under my leadership to see how we can from time to time intervene to see how deposit rates can be brought down, and when deposit rates come down, certainly we can also begin to see the lending rates come down, Mr. President. The cashless policy is a policy that we consider very good and important because all nations, all countries of the world today are embracing electronic banking and electronic channels for doing business. And Nigeria being a very important country in the Committee of Nations, one of the biggest countries in Africa, I think it is the right thing for us to embrace the cashless policy. Now, one thing about policy, distinguished senators, is that when the policy is made, the policies are made basically to achieve certain objectives. And when you make a policy and those objectives are achieved, you try to strengthen the policies to ensure that they continue to achieve the objectives. But when you have the policies have not really achieved the objectives for which they were set, what you do from time to time to see how you can review the policies to ensure that you achieve the objectives for which they were set. Now, I am aware of the complaints regarding the fact that, yes, when people come to deposit money in the banks, that or excess cash, in this case, with the bank, they get penalized. Or they want to make withdrawals from the bank more than what the threshold, they also get penalized. Perhaps that is one aspect of the policy we need to actually look at, like I talked about review. Review in the sense that what we should embrace really should be that if we are talking about cashless economy, we should first of all move all the cash that is outside the system into the banking system, notwithstanding the limits. But to encourage people to make sure that they embrace the electronic form of doing business, then you can begin to say when you are making withdrawals that you should pay something a little to encourage you. The important thing to say, encourage you to embrace the cashless, the electronic forms of doing business. We'll look at that and see how we can make it better, but we are aware of some of the complaints. Consolidation has happened, and we have the Nigerian banks big, solid, and able to handle transactions. But you know, a bank balance sheet comprises not only just the capital, but also has deposits. And it's a combination of both the capital and the deposit that you use to loan monies out to people. I am not supporting. I mean, the issue of whether you give somebody target and people are doing all sorts of things about target. For me, it's something that I worry about. But the point is this: every institution, any part of the world, you start from the top by setting your performance target. You set your budgets. You set your performance criteria. It goes from the institution right to divisional head to departmental heads and to individuals. And I also know that targets are usually used to reward people for an excellent performance. So that's what I do. But the point is, some of the issues that have been raised, we'll try, given the opportunity, to also discuss with some of our colleagues and see how some of the negative aspects of targets are being handled so we can reduce the impact of those on our people. One of the core mandates of the central bank is to ensure that we maintain a legal tender and respect it and ensure that whatever is done, that our own Naira has to use as a legal tender. I will take it as a primary responsibility to ensure that the attempt to dollarize the Nigerian economy is discouraged. We should not allow it because it will create problems for the economy. Aside from the core mandate of the CBN, which is to achieve macroeconomic stability, I'm also aware that central bank can also get involved in development banking and which is broadly defined is any activity that could lead to economic development in the country. I will try as much as possible to limit myself to the law and work within the law to ensure the right thing is done. Senator Barbe talked about budget deficit. I will look, if approved, I will look into the various components, the various expenditure components in the Central Bank of Nigeria, but I'm aware, like I said earlier, that we have what is called operational expenditure profile as well as administrative expenditure profile. I think, and I imagine, I suspect that more of the deficit would have come from areas that are pertaining to operational expenditure. And if it is about operational expenditure, it means that unfortunately we can't do anything about it because those are expenditures that are incurred in the course of open market operation, which is needed to ensure that we maintain a strong currency and ensure that we continue to have a good country.